Good evening and welcome to NNX, where we give you campus news faster than you can eat a bowl of mac and cheese. I'm Paris Franzway.
And I'm Ellie Skelly. Let's dive right into tonight's stories. We begin tonight with some breaking news on the basketball court. In a press release earlier today, the NU Athletics Department announced the men's basketball game scheduled for tomorrow, January 18th, in Iowa, has been postponed due to, quote, COVID health and safety protocols within the Northwestern program. NU Athletics says it's working with Iowa, along with the Big Ten, to reschedule, but no dates have been announced. Northwestern administration declined to provide additional comment on the cancellation and did not respond to requests for comments on COVID-19 levels on campus. As of now, there is no announcement regarding the scheduled game versus the Wisconsin Badgers this Saturday at 11 a.m. at Welsh Ryan Arena here in Evanston.
We turn now to Northwestern University's football team, who are currently undergoing an internal review following hazing allegations at the end of the 2022 season. In a statement to NNN University, spokesperson John Yates saying the inquiry, which is being conducted by an outside counsel, is in its very early stages and will be rigorously fair to everyone in this process. Assistant Dean of Student Lucas Christian says the Office of Community Standards receives a, quote, handful of hazing reports every year.
There's a lot of times like an assumption that this only happens in one type of organization. We receive them from all types of organizations and groups.
NNN's Gabrielle Coriati joins us now. Gabrielle, you spoke with Dean Christian about what some of the warning signs are if someone is experiencing hazing. What did he have to say?
So what he told me is that oftentimes when students are experiencing hazing, they don't realize that's what they're experiencing, and it's oftentimes a friend who will report the hazing on their behalf. They said the signs to look out for in your friends are sleep deprivation, increased stress, or seeing patterns of physical exertion or anything that's abnormal for your friend to be experiencing.
Thanks, Gabrielle, for those important reminders. We'll have more on the coverage of the allegations as the investigation continues.
Northwestern University graduate workers voted to unionize in a landslide victory for unionization last week. This comes after years of organizing and demonstrations for official union status throughout fall quarter. Now, NUGW hopes to negotiate with the university for higher stipends, comprehensive health care, and international student support.
So the next step at this point is, of course, the first contract, and we're very committed to, continuing to organize and be, connecting graduate workers.
While there isn't yet a timeline for negotiations, NUGW says they want to accomplish their goals sooner rather than later. The university issued a statement both acknowledging the results and committing to working with students to create a collective bargaining agreement.
We move on now to the Wildcats' electric basketball season with an update for the future of campus games. With a 12-5 record so far, this year's men's basketball games have been attracting many student fans. So much so that a record-breaking 1,511 students were able to attend last Wednesday's game against Rutgers. This number was made possible by expanding student seating into the upper sections of Welsh Ryan Arena, which may not be available for future games, following a situation earlier this quarter where hundreds of students were turned away when they hit capacity. Wildside has announced a new student ticket request process. Future games will have 1,000 available student seats with an online ticket reservation that will ensure all students who show up to the game have a seat. For students who don't show up, extra seats will be given on a first-come, first-served basis.
Very excited to have this much enthusiasm, and I think that the ticketing system itself will be very useful in guaranteeing that the people who are very interested in going to these games can get in, despite having a class or some sort of conflict, that they can get to the door 30 minutes before, and they'll be given a spot to sit in the student section.
This program will go into effect this Saturday when the Cats take on Wisconsin, barring any COVID-related changes to the game. Sign-ups will be available Thursday at 12 p.m., which you can reach from the QR code on your screen.
In Evanston, the Music Institute of Chicago hosted its annual concert celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The Institute partnered with the Fleetwood Jourdain Theater for a sold-out celebration this past Sunday. The concert featured student performances from various Evanston groups, with a focus on including artists and voices of color.
My purpose is to actually celebrate our unity as a community and to continue to encourage people to unify and strive for common goals.
The event also included an exhibit from the Evanston Art Center, focusing on the issue of race in America. The goal, to remember the legacy of Martin Luther King Jr. while celebrating a future of progress.
Back on campus, Norris University Center comes into the new year with 2 new dining options. The first, Buen Dia, serves quesadillas, tacos, and burrito bowls. The other edition, 847 Burger, offers burgers and chicken sandwiches. The new restaurants replaced Patty Squared, an olive Mediterranean grill. Norris and NU dining officials say their goal is to create a more inclusive dining experience for both cost and dietary restrictions. NU dining officials say that so far, the new restaurants appear to be a success.
We are seeing many more students going through these 2 new outlets than were going through the outlets before when they were Best of Local and Patty Squared.
Norris is also hosting a celebration to commemorate the opening of Buen Dia and 847 Burger, complete with a DJ and food samples next Monday, January 23rd.
Northwestern sororities and fraternities held their annual recruitment cycle last week. This was the first time recruitment was held in person since the start of the pandemic and the Abolish Greek Life movement, or AGL. Interfraternity Council President Shafi Flenner says Greek life is different after the mandatory education curriculum IFC organizations participated in last school year.
Have across all of Greek life really being a lot better about things like hazing prevention, sexual assault prevention.
And now, with these changes and recruitment shifting from virtual to in-person, many students are taking part in hopes of finding and being welcomed into a community on campus.
And finally tonight, we turn to a new gallery celebrating Black women, which opened Thursday in Norris University Center. NNN's Isabella Lisco speaks with artists honoring their history on opening night.
Radiant Compositions, Quilts of Inspiration and Remembrance, celebrates the resilience of Black women.
I want this to be an exhibition that provides solace and that recognizes those who came before us.
Artist Melissa Blunt says quilting started as a necessity. Enslaved people quilted for warmth out of any materials they could find.
Took feed sacks, took old work clothes. They use a lot of jeans in their work. I like the idea of something having a utilitarian purpose, but also being a work of art at the same time.
Art that features historical and current issues. One quilt memorializes the names of Black women and children who were victims of domestic violence.
Having these kinds of works interact with a population that would never encounter this kind of work is powerful.
Some quilters use a variety of fabrics to acknowledge history, while others use luxurious fabrics to celebrate progress.
They use bits and pieces because that's all they could get. I use the best because we've progressed.
And can use art to connect with family legacies.
It was a visceral reaction to what my great-grandmother did, my grandmother, my mother, and I felt the way in which I was continuing that legacy.
Artist Betty Bonds plans to make a quilt with her great-granddaughter.
I told her we're going to get together and she's excited about making a quilt.
My great-great-grandma is going to show me how to.
Because family brings warmth, and so do quilts. Isabella Lisco, Northwestern News Network.
Thanks, Isabella.
Well, that's all the time we have for tonight. Thanks so much for watching.
I'm Paris Franzway.
And I'm Ellie Skelly. Stay tuned for the Northwestern News Report and Politicat coming up next.